अस्मदाचार्य पर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्परां श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ओम सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांतिः। ओम आप्यायन्तु ममाङ्गानि वाक्प्राणश्चक्षु श्रोत्रमथो बलमिन्द्रियाणि च सर्वाणि सर्वं ब्रह्म उपनिषदम् माहं ब्रह्म निराकुर्यां मा ब्रह्म निराकरोत् अनिराकरणमस्तनिराकरणं मे अस्तु तदात्मनि निरतेय उपनिषत्सु धर्मास्ते मयि सन्तु ओम शांति शांति शांतिः। So we are discussing verse number 3 or adhyaya number 3. And in this chapter, a story is being presented. And the story is being presented mainly to stress the importance of Brahman. And also that Brahman is something in this chapter is presented as Saguna Brahma Upasanam. Saguna Brahma Upasanam. But it is possible that a person can come to a wrong conclusion, or they are called Manda Buddhi. So to clarify any wrong understanding and to remove any abhimanam or the ahankara of an achievement, the story is being presented here to illustrate that without the presence of Brahman or without the blessing of the Atma, the consciousness, whether it is Nirgunam or Sagunam, it is not possible for anyone to achieve success. So the first section which we are looking at talks about the story. And the story should not be taken as for contemplation. The story is to be taken for upasanam or for meditation only, or only for upasanam. And the upasanam is being discussed in the 4th chapter. So 3rd chapter presents the story, an introduction to the upasanam, and the 4th chapter presents the upasanam as to how this is achieved here. So we saw there are 4 characters being used in this story. One is the Brahma, which is a limitless reality represented by Yakshaha. So Yaksha is some superior power or some super brilliant Tejas Atma is presented here. The second we saw is Vayu or Agnihi is represents sense organs. Then Indra represents the mind. So mind, the sense organs being illuminated by Brahma, which is Yakshaha, and Uma Devi represents the Shastram or the Guru. So this Brahman or the Yakshaha has to be realized only through a study of the Shastram under a trained teacher or a Guru only. A person should not study Bhashyam, should not study anything on his own without having first undergone study with the teacher. Because the Bhashyam itself can be understood better only if the further story is understood. So that's why I gave you the story of the Yaksha, where this Yaksha comes into the court of Indra, and within a moment of fleeting nature it just disappears. So just to give a presence and then disappearing. And this appearing and disappearing is what is triggering the person to be inquisitive about what this is. And because of the Manda Buddhi, people could be there. Somebody may mistake it as, Rakshasa, or it could be some Asura, or it could be anything else. Or it could be also some supreme power which they have never seen before. So the appearance of Yaksha here is Saguna Brahma Upasanam, and Adi Shankara does not distinguish here between Sagunam and Nirgunam. According to him, Sagunam, Nirgunam, they are both acceptable, which we are going to see later in the verse. Because that is how he presents the argument, and that is how he understands, or that is how we should understand it. Because there is nothing really called Sagunam, and there is without, Sagunam is just attributes. So which is going to talk about it. So in the previous class, I think we saw up to, let me see. We saw that this Manda Buddhinaha have got a view that whatever is perceived, or whatever is known only through Shastram, for them it is acceptable. Anything which is beyond the Pramanam, anything which cannot be objectified, is non-existent. Right? See, yad asti tad jnatam vijnatam pramanaihi. Yad na asti tad avijnatam. The first line you see, yad asti tad vijnatam. So that which is existing is known. And that which is not there becomes unknown. That means what? That which cannot be perceived, or which cannot be understood through sense organs or the mind, is taken as non-existent according to this person. Because for them, Pramanam is, they have to have proof. They need to see. They need to verify. So scientists, physicists, all the people, they belong to this category. So for them, they have to validate. And some people validate only if you are able to confirm and prove with theory or with equation or with some logical formula, then they accept it as truth. But what Shastram says, there are many things which cannot be explained. Like why this Srishti is there. So nobody can explain why Srishti is there, because even though the scientists can try to understand why this is there, they can never arrive at a conclusion. Because they never believe the theory of karma. They do not have a belief in theory of karma. But Shastram, what it says, we believe in karma, we believe in papam and punyam, we believe in prarabdha karma, and there is these things are there. And this Srishti is created only for Bhoga Ayatanam, for to remove all your papam and punyam and exhaust your papam and punyam is what this universe is created. So yesterday in the Purushottam Bhashyam class I explained this also. Right? So this particular universe is created, or the creation theory talks about there, mainly with the view of exhausting your punyam and papam. And this is a Maya. So due to this Maya, or this is the false perception by the person, he or she continues to exist in this real world. So that which is unseen or that which is beyond punyam and papam cannot be perceived by this person. That's why he saw yad asti tad vigyatam pramanaihi yad na asti tad avigyatam. Then he saw shasha vishana kalpam atyantam eva asad. Asad means tucham. So that which is not existing. Atyantameva means absolutely not existent. Atyantam not absolutely is not there, just as you can never expect a horn in a hare, a rabbit. So rabbit can never have horn, and you're expecting us to believe that there is a horn in the rabbit. So we don't accept this, or our view is that it is not the correct drishtantaha, correct drishtam, my view. So you say shasha vishana kalpam atyantameva asad drishtam means this is my view. So what is inference here? So tad idam brahma. So this inference, this Brahma, which is the inferred here, is what avijñātatvat, unknowability. So this tad idam Brahma becomes a paksha. Paksha means the party, or this belongs to this section of the person who thinks. So we feel tad idam Brahma. So this Brahma means what? Somebody is saying this Brahma. It means we are saying this Brahma. So tad idam Brahma. So pakshaha. Then what is the hetu? Hetu means the reason. Of, because it's unknowable, avijñātatvat. Asat eva. So this becomes the conclusion, sadhyam. Then drishtantam is given as what? Shashavishana kalpam. So drishtantam is example. So the example is given as what? Because of this we feel. So he is given pakshaha, hetuhu, sadhyam and drishtantaha. So in any sentence we have 4. Right? So there should be a party. Right? And there should be a hetuhu. There should be a cause. There should be something for which to say this or assume this. Right? And because of assuming that, there should be a result, sadhyam. There should be a conclusion. And the conclusion, if you want to substantiate by what? By example. So when you have all these 4, it becomes a complete understanding, person can understand better. If I just say that this is the bhashyam like this, Shasha Vishana Kalpam Atyantameva Asad Drishtam, you would not know what it is. Like Sutadidam Brahma. So I have to say, so this Brahma, or we see this Brahma like this. So we separate those sentences into pakshaha, into hetuhu, sadhyam and drishtantaha. Is it clear, that one? Okay. So this is where we saw up to this. Then, so why is this for Manda Buddhina? So Manda Buddhi, this particular story or this particular thing is actually given for Manda Buddhina, or the people who are of the Manda Buddha. Vyamohaha means utter confusion. See, moham means deluded, and vyamoha means very, very deluded or utterly confused people. Vyamoha ma means they infer it is not there. Ma. Then Anubhuti. So So Mahabhuti iti means what? Anubhuti or inferring. So Anubhuti is a feminine gender, inferring, or Anubhuti means inferring in this way. Who infers? Manda Buddhina. And what do they infer? The infer is because this Brahma is Abhigyatatvat Asadeva Shashavishana Kalpam Drishtam. So the Tat Eda Brahma is also the Pakshaha becomes the Manda Buddhina. So Manda Buddhina is also the Pakshaha. Those are the people who say Tadam Brahma, this Brahma. Then Tad Artham Iyam Akhyayika. So this story, so Mahabhut means may not have. So the word Mahabhut iti is, it means Mahabhut means may not have this understanding for that purpose. What purpose? To negate these people's view, the story is presented here to glorify Brahman and to praise Ishvara. So tad artha iyam akhyayika. So akhyayika means what? A story is narrated. So akhyayika means a story. And the story is presented here in this manner. Tad artham iyam. Okay, so you should take the meaning of the artham as the reason for this elaboration or the story is to clarify the doubts of or clarify any wrong notion which a person may have. So Manda Buddhinam should not be taken as somebody is the people. It addresses everybody as a Manda Buddhinam. Manda Buddhinam means not just some Paksha. So if we are also of the opinion, we are also Manda Buddhinam. So if we have an opinion that I do not see Brahman, I do not know Brahman, I can't experience Brahman because it is not available for perception, therefore it is not existing, then we are also come under the category of Pakshaha, Manda Buddhina. Is it clear, Jay? So he just pointing out this section. It means that it's across the board for everybody. It says all the people who have got a view like this, for them a story is presented. And the story is presented with the background of the Yakshaha. And the story is given the example of the Deva and Asura Sangrama. So when the Samudra Manthanam was going on, at that time there's a bitter battle between Deva and Asuras. And the Deva and Asuras can never be together because they are Devas, one is Asura. So one is light, one is darkness. So light and darkness cannot coexist together. If there is light, there cannot be darkness. Whenever there is two people of different opinions, they are bound to clash. They can never be acceptable. So this war, Devaha, it talks about the Satkarma or Sat Buddhi. And the good, karmas, good deeds it talks about. Living life of dharma, living a life according to Varnashrama is all the Devas. And the Asuras are the people who are the one which is responsible for the disturbance of society. So anyone who does not follow dharma, anyone who does not follow his own Varnashrama, or who lives a life just as the person wants, he is called Asura. Asura does not really mean somebody who is a category called Asura. There is nobody called Asura. Everyone has got Asuric qualities in us. See, we have Asuric qualities and Daivika qualities also, correct? Sometimes we can become Daivika. Romba justification. See, I am a very pious person because it is in Sadhyam, it is in, your Hetu is there. It is favorable to you. So Pakshaha is favorable to you. So you become very, very nice person. But the moment it starts to affect you, then you become an Asuric Guna. How? No, it is affecting me very badly. So I don't want to do this. So you want to be always the receiving side, good side. You never want to be on the side of the negative side of it. But for a person to be balanced, one has to know the positive side, negative side, and he has to treat equal as equal. That's why he says here that for this Manda Buddhinaha, because those people cannot come to grasp with this, for that tad artham iya akyayikaha arabhyate or begun, or this particular akyayika story has begun. Okay, then tad eva hi brahma, tadeva hi brahma sarva prakarena prashastru devanam api paro devaha ishwaranam api parameshwaraha durviggeyaha. Okay, so in that way, so that is tadeva means this Brahma, that Brahma is, he means the word indicating is indeed. So this Brahma indeed, sarva prakarena means sarva means all, in all respects. See, prakarena means respects, in all aspects. This Brahma is the one which is called prashastru. See, shasanat trayate iti shastram. So shastram is the one which governs the law of dharma, correct? So shastru means that which protects, or that ordainer of the person called shastru. So shastru means what? The ordainer or the protector of the universe, or this particular phenomenon, Brahma is called shastru. So this Brahma is of the nature of Shastrahu in all respects, sarva prakarena. Then Devanam api, so Lord of the Lords, and Paro Devaha. So if Devanam api, Devanam api means the Indra is supposed to be Deva of the Devas. So this Brahman is Paradevaha. So it is beyond even Indra. So Indra also cannot understand this Brahman. Indra also cannot perceive Brahman in this manner. So Devanam api Paro Devaha. Then Ishwaranam api Parameshwaraha. So Ishwaraha means what? This is a status. Ishwaraha is a Saguna Brahma Upasana. Hope you know that, right? Ishvara is a Saguna Brahma Upasana. Anything which is manifest or unmanifest, everything here is Ishvara. It is a title given for the manifestation of the universe. So Ishwaranam api Parameshwaraha. So this Ishvara is also known as Parama Ishvaraha. So it is beyond even the Saguna Brahma Upasana also. So here Brahma Upalakshana is given. What Brahma? Tad eva hi Brahma. So this Brahma is of the nature of sarva prakarena prashastru. So in all respects, it is the sustainer of the universe, sustainer of everything here. So without this Brahman being there, nothing can be sustained. So all these things is existing here. This is ordainer. This is only one ordainer. Then it is Deva of the Devas. Paradevaha Devanam api. So Indra is the Lord of everybody. So he is also Lord of Indra also. Then Ishwaranam api Parameshwaraha. Then Durvigneyam, that which cannot be easily known. Difficulty in knowing this Brahman. See, Durvigneyam means what? Which is, see, Durvigneyam means extremely difficult to know. Then Devanam Jaya Hetuhu. So Devanam Jaya Hetuhu means what? This, the reason for the success of the Devas. in the battle between Deva and Asuras, the Devas were victorious. And the Devas, we saw the story what they were all Abhimanaha. They were all celebrating the victory over Asuras, thinking that they were the one who were victorious, without understanding the fact that the success of the Devas' victory was none other than the Ishvara, who was present in Saguna Brahma Upasanam there. See, Mahavishnu was present as the one who was the person, right? And he was the person present there as, and Shiva was there, Uma was there. So all the people who were there, they were all there as Brahma Upasana, Saguna Brahma Upasana. And had it not been for Uma Devi, the whole halal would have gone into the whole ocean, the whole universe would have wiped out everything. So she was also indirectly responsible for the protection of the universe. Shiva, by swallowing the halal, he also did protection of the universe. So Sarva Prakarana Prashastru, correct? Sarva Prakarana Shastru means what? In all respects, Umadevi being the protector, Shiva being the protector, and Vishnu also being the Hetu. So Vishnu, what did he do? He played a very nice trick. So he was always encouraging them, like, why don't you take the tail and why don't you take the mouth? So all the Asuras were taking the mouth and Devas were taking the tail. Because the poison from the Vasuki, when it was giving this poisonous gas, and the gas was actually weakening the people, the Asuras. And because the Devas were at the tail of this thing, they were not that effective. So always there's a reason for the Bhagavan to do some things. So even here, Devanam Jaya Hetuhu means the reason for the success of the Devas, Asuranam Parajaya Hetuhu. So it is opposite, corollary, it's opposite of this. So when Devas win, it is also a reason for the failure of the Devas. So Asuranam Parajaya Hetuhu Tat Katham Asti iti etasya artasya anukulani. See the word, big word, Tat Katham. Na asti iti etasya artasya anukulani means Tat Katham, how it is possible? Tat Katham na asti. So it's a question mark. So Tat Katham na asti. Why? Because he's giving that this Brahma Sarva Prakarena Prashastru Devanam api Paro Devaha Ishwaranam api Parameshwaraha Durvigneha Devanam Jaya Hetuhu Asuranam Parajaya Hetuhu. When all these are given, there are ample evidence for the Brahman being powerful. So, Tat Katham na asti. How do you say that it is not there? So, you have to connect this verse to the previous one. What? Yad asti tad vigyatam, yad nasti tad avigyatam. Hope you are able to connect it. So, because very important. So the story is actually given to illustrate the Brahma Upasana, Saguna Brahma Upasana. But the message is given here what? When all these things are Saguna Brahma Upasana, correct? So Sarva Prakarena Prashastru Devanamapi Devaha, all Saguna Brahma. Then, so how Tat Katham na asti? So how is it possible for someone to iti etasya artasya? That it is non-existent. How can you assume or how can you take the meaning that it is non-existent? Iti etasya artasya uttarani vachamsi. So you answer. So your answer or your reason for saying this is not acceptable to us because having all this glory of Brahman being present in the Upanishad and having been very clearly elaborated, how can someone come to a conclusion? So, tat katam na asti iti etasya arthasya anukulani means favorable. So, you cannot just take something favorable because you want to take that as the pakshaha. You have to look at it in holistic purpose. Uttarani vachamsi. So, drishyante is seen here. So, Manda Buddhi Vicharaha is being presented here. What is presented here? Manda Buddhi Vicharaha. So, there is a famous sutra called Mana Adhinam Neya Siddhihi. Mana Adhinam Neya Siddhihi. So, Manam means Pramanam. Or Adhinaha means what? Dependent. Adhinaha means dependent. Mana Adhina Neya Siddhihi. So, you will see in Dharma Sutra all these small things will come. So, sometimes we'll come across this. We'll study later. If at all when we. So this particular tarka is called what? Manda Buddhi Vicharaha. So Mana Adhina Meya Siddhihi. So Manam means Pramanam. Adhina means dependent. Meyaha means known. Siddhihi means accomplishment or accomplished. So accomplishment, siddhihi, of any object is dependent on, mayam means what? Known. Okay. So accomplishment of any known object is possible only when it is depending on a pramanam. So there has to be yad asti tad vijñātam tad na asti tad avijñātam. So the same thing is talked about in some other text also, as saying that the same person is sitting there also. He also comes there because there it is quoted in this manner. Because there you see the same words may be used in some other aspect. So you should take the literal meaning of the word, and if you don't understand the story itself, then what do you see when you go to Katha Kalapshem? What they do? Ramar Vandandar. Ramar Kala Onginar Abdimba. So what do you do? Oh, Ramar Onginar Abdimba. So they all get illumined with the story of the Rama. So they're all the mind with the story of the Rama. But nobody understands what Rama was. The story is only for keeping your mind absorbed. Upasana only. It is not going to give you any understanding of what Rama was. Is it correct? You just go to any Katha Kalakshepam or any Upanyasam like this. What Upanyasakara what to do? They just give lecture on a particular mahima of a person. Correct? And the mahima of the person is enhanced or brought about in a particular theatrical way or a poetical way or poetical way or in a in a dramatical way. So that absorbs your mind, and that's what hooks your mind, and you're connected with that object for some time. If that particular object is not there, you cannot contemplate. Is it correct? If you do not go to the Katha Kalaksham one day, what will happen? You will not know about that. You will not think about it. So what will you assume? It was not there. But you do not know about it. So this is the view of the Manda Buddhina. What he's saying is, most of the people come under the category of this. Because what they cannot see, what they cannot perceive, what they cannot enjoy, they cannot comprehend or they cannot meditate on it. So that's why the word Mana Adhina Meya Siddhihi. So Meya Siddhihi means object of knowledge. So for this, a story is presented here. So this completes the introduction to the story. Then he has given 5 reasons as to why this Brahman cannot be negated, or this Brahman should not be taken as tad asti tad vigyatam pramanehi tad asti tad avigyatam. So Shasha Vishana Kalpam Atyantamevat Asad Drishtam. So that particular line is taking as the Drishtantaha and is giving explanation about this. The first one what we saw was that this Brahman in the first point, Tadeva hi Brahma Sarva Prakarena Prashastru Devanamapi Paro Devaha Ishwaranamapi Parameshwaraha Durvigyayaha Devanam Jaya Hetuhu Asuranam Parajaya Hetuhu. These are the reasons. Okay. Justification for the Brahman or the Ishvara being omnipotent, omniscient, and omnipowerful. So then the question is asked, Tatkatam, why do you say like this? When this is all illustrated very clearly in the story, and it is in the Upanishad, Tatkatam na asti iti etasya artasya anukulani uttarani vachamsi. So our answer is given in this manner, and this is our answer. You understand what I am trying to tell you. Is it clear, this section? Okay, because to read the Bhashyam, you will know the story. See, Kada Kekama Bhashyam Bharja Kada Unu Buriyat. See, it is like, when you want to understand Rama, see, Ramar Pattabhishekam mentioned. Ramar Pattabhishekam, if you want to understand, if you listen to Ramar Pattabhishekam once, correct? Then, if you read the Bhashyam for Ramar Pattabhishekam, you will understand what they are talking about. If you do not understand anything at all, and if you suddenly come and read Bhashyam, that is why Shastram says you must not read Bhashyam on your own. Even though you may understand what it is, but it is not what it is intended for, or the understanding may not be correct. So as you will see in the next section, Upanishad, there it means what? Not Brahma Vidya. Upanishad means Upasana. So if you understand Upanishad, then everything will be taken as Saguna Brahma. But there is said specifically that it is actually Upanishad you must take as Upasana. Just as the Bhagavad Gita, Atma is taken as physical body, correct? In some places. Atma is also taken as consciousness. Atma also taken as pranaha. So it depends on which context you are seeing. If the general meaning of the word Atma is consciousness. But Atma also is interpreted as body in Bhagavad Gita in some sections. And you must use it only in that context. You must not stretch it. You must not extrapolate it saying that this means this, which these people do. Okay. Uma, is it clear to you, this section? Okay. You got all the meanings for all the words? Okay. So the second point, so the first point, you got the glory of Brahman, or the reason why this Brahma is of the nature of greatness. Second, Athva Brahma Vidyayam Shuteye. So, or the second reason is greatness Brahma Vidyayam Sututaye means what? In order to praise. So Sutihi or Stutihi. Right? Stutaye, when you say Stutihi means what? it means praise, correct? Stutaya means praise. So in order to praise this Brahma Vidya, Stutihi is Strilinga Shabdaha, Ikaranta Shabdaha, Stutihi. Then Brahma Vidyayam Stutaye. Khatam, how? Brahma Vigyanat Agni Adayaha Deva Devanam Shreshtatvam Jagmuhu. Brahma Vigyanat Agnihi, Vigyanat Adihi. So Vigyanat Adihi, Agna Adayaha Deva Devanam Shreshtatvam Jagmuhu. So Brahma Vigyanat means what? Only because of knowledge. So Brahma Vigyanat means what? Only because of knowledge of Brahman who appeared as Yakshaha. So the Yakshaha, or the person who appeared in the court of Indra, cannot be understood by ordinary person. Why? Because it is Durvigneyam. We saw before, right? Durvigneyam, it is not easily understandable by somebody who has got no introduction to Vedanta, no introduction to anything Shastram at all. It is impossible for a person to understand. So Brahma Vigyanat Agna Adayaha means Agni Adihi means what? Etc. Agni, Vayu, etc. Shreshtatvam Jagmuhu. So Jagmuhu means what? Had attained. Jagmuhu means attained. And Shreshtatvam means what? The greatness. So because of the knowledge of Brahman only, these people were able to understand the greatness of this Yakshaha. Before, when the Yaksha came into the court, what did Agni say? Agni said, I will go and bring him to court. I will destroy him. So he goes with the Ahankara that he is the greatest person. Hope you recall the story I told you, right? So he goes there, and with the limited knowledge of understanding what this Shakti is, he tries to understand with this sensory perception or with his powers. See, Agni also has got sensory perception and powers. Just as we have, he has got his own power to burn. He has got his own, unique Shakti to burn everything and all these things, provide heat, everything. So he goes with this Abhimanaha that he is Agni Devata, he is the Adi Devata, he is greater than everybody else. And when he goes with that knowledge or with that Ahankara cannot even reach Brahman. Because with that Ahankara, you cannot understand Brahman is, correct? If you have Ahankaratvam, how can you understand Brahman? That is why he gets defeated. He comes back. Then Vayu goes, save Ahankara. That's why he says here, Agnaha Agni Adayaha. Adi means what, etc. Agni Adihi means Agni, Vayu, etc. All the Devatas. Deva Devana means D. Indra also achieved success or Shreshtatvam. Jagmuhu means they attained success only because of knowledge of Brahman. So they would not have attained this glory, they would not have been Devas, they would not be called Agni or Vayu or living as Devatas without knowing the truth of Brahman. So second reason, Hetu is given. Okay. First one you already saw, second one. So here Acharya is actually presenting a case for Manda Buddhina, saying that these are the reasons why you must not negate Brahman. Right? Maham Brahma Nirakuryam. Hope you know the mantra, right? Maham Brahma Nirakuryam. Mama Brahma Nirakarot. So let the Brahman not negate me, let me not negate Brahman. Okay. Mama Brahma Nirakarot. So let me not negate Brahman and let the Brahman not negate me. So the same mantra which is in the opening prayer mantra is being said here. You have to connect it that way. Because if you say that, I will negate Brahman, that means you are negating yourself. So if you negate yourself, then who is there? You are always there. Right? So understand this reason. Brahma Vijnanat Adihi Agnihi Adayo Devaha Devanam Shresthatvam Jagmuhu. Tataha api Atitaram Indram iti. So Atitaram means what? In this way, Atitaram means excelled, or Indra actually attained much earlier than everybody else. So Atitaram Indraha iti means Indra also attained this knowledge. As you know, when Yaksha comes to the court of Indra, Vayu goes, Agni goes the fate. Then Indra goes, he cannot come back to the court of Indra without saying that I can't understand what this is. So he has to know somehow or the other. So what does he do? Atitaram means he excelled in his as Indra because he meditated. He sat there and meditated on this using his power of meditation. He contemplated, he thought what it is. And in that contemplation, the Guru came. Uma Devi is a Guru there. And Uma Devi also is contemplating on the same Brahman. So when your contemplation, when your mind is together, you already get connected. Correct? When your minds are poles apart, you can never get connected. That is why when you say namaste, when you say namaha astute, means when namaskaraha unto you, you bow your head, because may our minds meet, not our heads meet. Our mind should meet, our mind should be common. I mean, there's a transmission between my mind and your mind. So what I am thinking or I am saying should also get transmitted to you now, not later. See, apparam purinjikalam appadilla. Notes ipaduthukiren apparam padikalam appadilla. It is direct knowledge. That means as I speak, as I tell, the knowledge has to be grasped by you. It has to be directly go inside you direct. So that is what is called here as Atitaram, excelled Indramiti. So Atva Brahma Vidyaya Stutaye Khatam. How? Brahma Vijnanat Adihi Agni Adayo Deva Devana Shresthatvam Jagmuhu. Tataha api Atitaram Indraha iti. So this is second over. Second justification. Is it clear, Jashankar? Okay. You got the Bhashyam text with you, right? You remember to follow, right? Okay. Then the third one, Atva or Durvigneyam. See the word Durvigneyam? It is difficult to comprehend. And what is shown as difficult? Brahma iti etat. So this Brahma is shown here as something which is difficult to comprehend. It is not for Manda Buddhi Adhikarinaha. It is called for Sukshma Buddhi Adhikarinaha. A person has got Sukshma Buddhi, subtle mind only can grasp this understanding. If you got dull-witted person, Manda Buddhi Adhikarinaha cannot understand this concept. That's why he says here, Durvigneyam Brahmaha iti etat pradarsyate. It is shown here. Yena. So the word Yena should be taken as what? You see the word there, Kleshaineva. So you see the word Kleshaineva Brahma Viditavantaha. So Agnaya Adihi ati tejaso api kleshenaiva brahma viditavantaha. This is the word. So the word is atva durvigyayam, or this Brahma is of the nature of not knowable, it is difficult to comprehend. And this is shown very clearly where in chapter number 1 and 2. So you have to go at Pratibodhi Vitam Matam Amatatvam Vindate. So you have to see number 1 and 2 is illustrated very clearly in chapter 1 and 2. So we don't have to go there, but you have to recollect that this Brahma is not comprehensible easily. It is not known easily like that. It is difficult to know. First of all, it is not an object of knowledge, number one. If somebody says, I know Brahman, he does not know Brahman. That's why he says Durvigyayam. Iti etat pradarsyate. So this is already illustrated, shown before. Then, Ena Agni Adayoho Ati Tejasamapi Kleshenaiva Brahma Viditavantaha. Means even the great Agni, Adayaha, even the great Agni and Vayu and other Devatas, who are of the nature of what? Ati Tejasa. I mean, they are brilliant. Their brilliance is beyond explanation. So they got brilliance. Like Agni itself is very brilliant, right? Tejas fire is brilliant. It can illumine everything in this place. So Ati Tejasam Api, great power. Also what? Kleshe Naiva, great difficulty. Kleshaha means difficulty. Kleshe Naiva eva means very, very great difficulty. Only with great difficulty, Brahma Viditavantaha. Only with great difficulty did they understand Brahma. So even the greatest powers of the Lord, of Vayu, Indraha, Vayu and Agni also had great difficulty in understanding this Brahman. So it is not easily comprehensible. There is called Durvigyayam. So the third definition for, third justification for Brahman is given here. Then, Tata Indra Devanam Ishwaro Api San Ithi. So, Tata Indraha Devanam Ishwaro Api San Ithi. It means what? Even in this manner, Indra also. And who is this? Devanam Ishwaraha. So, he is the Ishwara of the Devatas, correct? Indra is the Ishwara of the Devatas. And he also had the same difficulty, San Ithi. So in this manner also, Ishvara, even Indra also struggled to know Brahman. So you can imagine that the Devatas are also struggling to know Brahman. And they undertook a lot of difficulty to understand this. How a Manda Buddhi person can comprehend. So when somebody says Shasha Vishana Kalpam, Drishtam he gives. It means what? I don't accept this. I don't see this. And without understanding the whole philosophy behind everything, there's no Shastram study, there is no basis for anything. You just read some text here and there, present your viewpoint, and then try to argue with somebody who is a proper studied Vedic scholar. Adi Shankara is a you cannot argue against him because he will quote all Upanishads, he will quote from Brahma Sutra, everything he will quote. Then it becomes difficult for the person to argue. That's why he comes up with new arguments every time. Okay, let's forget that. Let's take up this argument now. So he is willing to, to leave the argument just like this. Somewhere I studied one text or some interesting thing about one Christian and one Sringeri Jagadguru arguing about something. So this Christian Padri, he comes and talks to Shringeri Jagat Guru, says, you have mutt here. I want to establish one Christian church here next to you. So I wanted to see if you have an objection or you have any, something to say. So he asks, what is the purpose of having this church? He says, there are a lot of people who are, downtrodden people who have done a lot of suffering. They have got sins. And for the sinners, this place is a good place for them to cure their, sins and then make them pure. And then we'll convert them from other religions to Christianity. And then we'll tell them that Jesus is the God. So this argument goes like this. We ask, how do you categorize only sinners? What about other people? What happens to them? Oh, they are already free. They don't need anything. So are you saying that this is only for sinners place? What about the general people? What they do? So we haven't thought about it. So sinners, when they talk about, it talks about the people who are weak-minded people. The people who are weak-minded people who do not have any support. Those are the people they target. See, Hinduism doesn't believe in conversion. You know that, right? Hinduism, there's something called conversion. You can never convert yourself to Hindu. You can be Hindu by practice. You cannot overnight say I'm a Hindu. You may be a Christianity, but you can never call yourself Hindu because it is not something convert. You can physically, you cannot do anything. Mentally, you can be Hindu. Like our Acharya is, he's a better Hindu than everybody, all of us. Because even though he's born in a Christian family, but his Veshbhusha, his study, his everything, the lifestyle he's living, is far greater than an average Hindu lives. Is it correct? So sometimes he asks, I wish I could, be a Brahman, born a Brahman. I tell Acharya, why do you're already a Brahmana. Why do you need, just by, I don't tell him, but just by wearing some punal or some veshti or something like, in a kulaha, you do not become a Brahmana just like that. So Brahma Jnana iti Brahmana. So the person who's Brahman is called Brahmana, not a person by Gotra or Kulaha or by, Veshbhusha. So same thing is takes here. So such is the difficulty of knowing Brahman. So tata Indraha Devana api Ishwaro api Sanniti.
Which Acharya is Christian?
No, Vasudeva Acharya is a Christian. No?
Oh, I did not.
My first teacher, our Jaishankar's first teacher was, he's still a teacher, he's still an Acharya only.
Okay.
But his name is Michael Comments.
Okay.
And because he went to study with Swamiji for 3 years and he was named Vasudeva Acharya. So his name is called Vasudeva Acharya. But he still writes, as Michael Comments, or sometimes he writes, people know him as that, in some places. I'm just not, I'm giving example to you as to there are people like even Kannappa Nayanar, right? See, Kannappa Nayanar in Tamil was a Veder Kulaha, right? He was a hunter. And a hunter also had the vision of, of who Ishvara was. Because he didn't know anybody. According to him, the Shivalinga there, he says if there's nobody is offering anything to him, it is getting rusted. So he used to offer flesh. Correct. According to him, offering flesh is because it's dharma, because he's a hunter. And hunting, because profession, he has to kill people, he has to kill, the animals and all, and take the blood and flesh, he used to offer it. So one Pandita was coming there, he sees every day, he sees Bhagavan being, decorated with flesh and blood, he couldn't stand it. So he will clean the blood every day and again he'll put flowers, etc., mangal, etc., he'll go away. Next morning again he'll see the flesh there. So it's continued for many, many days. One day he decided to see who is the person doing this. Then he said, oh, you are the person who is doing this. He said, yes. He said, do you know that he is a sacred person? He said, according to you, you may think he's sacred. According to me, this is how I worship him. So worshipping depends upon the person. That's got no form. That's what it says here. So it is difficult for someone to perceive or understand things when you don't have the right perspective. So even the great Rishi also understood finally that even Kannappa Nayaga also is a devotee of Shiva only. Just as he was a devotee also. But if we have the ahankara that, I know better than somebody, you will not be able to understand Bhagavan. So for understanding the Bhagavan, you have to let go of your ahankara. So Indra also has to let go of the ahankara that is there of devas. Agni also has to let go of the ahankara that they have devas. Then when they left the ahankara, abhimanam, that's a time when they were able to understand. So to do that, it is difficult. Durvigneyam, difficult to let go of the ahankara. You cannot drop it like that, correct? You have to make an effort. You have to work hard to resolve the ahankara. And how long it will take, I don't know. It may take you ages, generations, it may take sometimes. Whole lifetime can take. Okay. So he has given the first three reasons. And I think we are running out of time, or it's 9 o'clock now. So the fourth one and the fifth one, we will see in next class. Any questions on today's class? Shrikantji, you are able to follow?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You got the Bhashya with you, right, Shrikantji?
Yeah, I have it.
You can follow Sanskrit and Devanagari, you can follow, right?
Yeah, I studied Sanskrit only in school.
Very good. Sriramji, you're okay so far?
All good. Thanks, Shankarji.
Okay. Uma, you got all the meanings for your notes? Okay. Now you,
Sorry. So the Ishvara, the Yaksha coming in as Brahman is just the Saguna Brahma Upasanam that you mentioned, right?
Correct.
Okay. It is just for making the Tarkavadi understand the story.
Correct.
Okay.
Because see, according to Adi Shankara, Saguna Brahma Upasanam Nirguna, there's nothing called Saguna Nirguna.
Oh, okay.
Because
even that is not there.
Only Brahma. See, only Brahma. Brahma with Maya becomes Saguna. Okay. And when you remove or when you resolve the Maya, the same Brahma becomes Nirguna, correct? It is always Brahma only. And
Brahma with Maya is Saguna.
Correct. See, Brahma and Maya are inseparate. You know that. I told you.
Yes. Yeah.
Brahma and Maya, the power and the powerful cannot be separated. So Brahma being the powerful, all omniscient, powerful, and the power being is Maya, are non-separate from each other. But when due to avidya, Maya is called one mula vidya, correct? Or ajnanam. So when ajnanam is there, then the Maya appears to be giving a view of this universe to be as Saguna Brahmapasana, Asagunaha. When the same Maya is removed or is resolved in Brahman, then the same Saguna becomes is what's seen in Nirguna. So Brahma itself is both Sagunam and Nirgunam depending upon the understanding of the person. Have you got it?
Yes, sir.
So for a person who believes that he is Saguna Brahma Upasana, for him always Brahman will be Saguna Brahma Upasana only. Our the puja, panaskarangal, all this will be continuously existing for a person. He will never be able to come out of it because he's under the spell of this Maya. See, the magician and the magic, are they different? They are one.
Yeah.
But the magic appears to be different, or you are under the spell of the magician for what? For the person affected by magic. But the magician is not affected by the magic also, correct? He knows that the magic is being unveiled, right? And he also knows that the people who are getting affected, all the people out there, they're screaming, they're shouting, they're applauding, etc. He knows this. He's also cognizant of that. But he himself is not affected by it. He's away from the magic. And also from the results of the magic itself. Is it correct?
Yes.
For example, same way, when the magic is removed like this, what happens? The spell is gone, and then you see only the magician, correct?
Yeah.
You see the power, don't see the power anymore. Where was the power? Power was always within the magician, correct? But it appeared to be outside of Brahman, of magician, because of what? Your avidya. Is it correct?
Yes, sir.
So I think I give a better explanation this time of the Brahman and Maya.
Yeah.
The magician and the power of magic are not two different things, they're only one. But appearing as two because of the power of magician. So if you get affected by the magician's power, then you will be under the spell of that person forever. Once you understand that is only a spell and you try to remove the spell, then you will see only the magician there. That's why Adi Shankara says, you will see in the definition later on, when he says Brahma Upasanam, he means Saguna and Brahma. In this story, he is giving Saguna Brahma Upasana in this story. Because Nirguna was discussed in the first and second chapter.
Okay.
You got it?
Yes, I got it.
Oh, you have to recollect that Nirgunam is first and second chapter. Third is given for the people Bhakta Buddhinaha who cannot understand Nirguna Brahmapasanam. For them it is said, at least you do this. You understand this. Correct? To reinstate that faith and the dharma and the values, it is being presented here.
Okay.
Is it clear?
Yes,
Uma,
sir.
is it clear to you?
Yes. I'll write my notes this week.
Okay. If you got anything, let me know, because I would have been a little bit quicker in explaining to you, but I'll go through and I'll let you know. Okay.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay. Om Purnamadah Purnamidham Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadhaya Purnamevavasishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Namaste. Shubhratri to all. I want to tell you one more thing. 15th of August is Swamiji's birthday. You see at the background. And so just now my teacher told me yesterday that we want to celebrate. I don't know how. She's going to tell me later on how we can celebrate. Because social distancing and everything else, we may do a combination of online and a combination of in presence. Like there'll be students chanting different Vedas, different aspects of it, just for a short while, not for long. Maybe it's like a family fun day, having a family day with all the students of Arsha Vidya Australia and New Zealand as well. So, and India, all the students everywhere. Globally, we have students there. All of them will just see how we can contribute to that particular function. So I'll outline the details in the Arsha Vidya study group once we know how to do this. But it will be sometime on 15th of August. That's it.